So often it's easy to judge a book by its cover or a wine bottle by its label. What do you actually look for when you're wanting to buy a nice bottle but don't know what to look for?
Sure, a lot of people have that question. And I have 5 quick tips when you're standing and looking at a wall of bottles. So you pick up one, and I'm just going to take this one from Niagara. It's called Open. So a couple of things. First of all, it's a blend. So there's 2 grapes in here. There's probably a third one. Riesling, Gewürztraminer, and I believe Chardonnay may be in here as well. That helps in that what the vintner is doing here is using the most of whichever grape did well this year. So there could be more Riesling than Gewürztraminer. It'll change. It gives the winemaker more flexibility to keep the cost low, but the taste nice and high, good quality. So I find blends are a safe bet. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is how specific is the place name. So if you just saw Ontario, those grapes could come from the county, they could come from southwestern Ontario, they could come from all over. But this says Niagara Peninsula. So the more specific the name, the more limited they are, and often the higher quality. Again, it's not a guarantee, but it's just a thing to look for that can increase your odds of getting a better bottle.
A little flag.
Absolutely. And so we also have VQA, Vintners Quality Alliance. Very small here, but you'll often see it like on the capsule or whatever. VQA is another signal that says this vintner had to follow very specific rules that belong or adhere to the Vintners Quality Alliance, and that is for both Ontario and BC. And again, it's something that's going to tell you that your odds are better with this. If you turn to the back, there's some information here that can really help you. So if you're looking at the description here, they're talking about peaches and rosewater and that sort of thing. They're not putting those things into the wine, but that's what the wine smells like and has the flavors of. So you begin to think, oh, well, maybe that's my style. Now, if they were saying lime and green apple, is your mouth watering? It should be, because that's telling you there's acidity in the wine. Not to be afraid of acidity, it goes with food. But this is a softer, they're talking about rosewater and peach and fleshy tree fruit. So there you're going to get an indication of the style of the wine. And then finally, I look at the alcohol level. Now alcohol, this is 11.5. That tends to be low. A lot of wines weigh in at 13% these days. I'm seeing them as high as 15 and 16%. Keep in mind, port is 19%. So this is low. It means it's light, it's refreshing. You're going to chill this. You probably have it with seafood. It's not a guarantee of body and weight, but it's an indicator. So those tips really do help.
Is it fair to say the higher the alcohol, the lesser the quality of wine?
No, not at all. You know, that's what we do so well too in Canada. We pack flavor, pack a flavor punch, but it doesn't come with the alcoholic heft. So both Rieslings and Pinot Noirs, cool climate grapes, you're going to find they're lower in alcohol generally, not always, but generally, especially from our regions. But they're packed with flavor. It doesn't have to equate. You don't have to, get more bang for your buck alcohol-wise to get a flavor out of the wine. You really can get something magnificent here, and you're not asleep on the sofa at 7.
Right.
So that's important.
Those are great tips. So now that I have you here cornered, I wonder if I can ask you about some of my favorite wines. I like a lot of wines from BC. You've got one here that I've never seen before. Tell us about this one.
This is Burrowing Owl, and it's one of the flagship wineries for the Okanagan. Fortunately, we're getting some distribution across the country for this one. It's $27, so it's a little bit pricier, but the quality is spectacular. Again, this is what I call a bargain because it tastes twice as expensive as it costs. It's one of those big reds from BC. You want a juicy steak or something that can muscle up beside this wine. It's also a lovely winery to visit. They have a gorgeous restaurant in the Okanagan.
Where is it?
In the Okanagan.
Okay.
Yeah, and so many of the wineries do, both in the Okanagan and in Niagara. Well, frankly, all of the regions we've been talking about, you'll find winery restaurants, and they pair the wines and the foods. Gastro travel is really on the rise. People are planning their vacations around bottles like this.
Oh, that sounds like a great vacation, actually.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No one gets grumpy.
Fantastic. So that's BC. Then we
Sure.
thought we'd also look at something that you thought was good from Ontario, which
from
is another
Ontario?
of the big
Absolutely.
regions.
Well, we mentioned this one. It's Inniskillen Pinot Noir. If you'd like to give it a taste, we can try it. It's a very,
Sure.
very different style. So this is light. I don't know if you remember the movie Sideways. It was all about Pinot Noir. Now, that was California. Of course, they make it too. But this one, a lot of people love this wine because it packs so much flavor and yet not heavy in the alcohol, not
You can
heavy
have
in
it
the oak.
with fish.
Yes, you can. Break all the rules, be a renegade. Red wine and fish. Here we go. You can see it's got a light, juicy color. You've got fleshy cherries, fresh turned earth, so on.
So if there was a wine for very light foods, though, a red wine, this would be it?
This would be it.
This
Planked
would be
salmon and so on. We'd have a much bigger glass. These are the tasting glasses that are available to us, but you make do with what you have in front of you.
That's right.
So cheers.
Cheers to you.
All
Thanks,
right,
Natalie.
Pam.
That's delicious.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
glad you
little
like it.
heavier than other Pinot Noirs. Is
Yeah,
that
it's
right?
got some heft to it, and it's very cherry. Like you've got a little bit of oak there. I find it's amazing for $13.95. I don't think you can go
okay.
too wrong.
So
Yeah.
we've just looked at Inniskillen and Burrowing Owl. Okay, great. Now we can go shopping.
Excellent. The
Thanks.
fun begins.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pam.